Some kind of
Before you start your feedback, can I ask you how do we need to spell your family name?
Whatever. There's 4 of us. I don't think if you write any iteration of my name, we're gonna mistake it. Okay. To be honest, this wasn't a good debate. I think you all can do much better than that. I had a pretty hard time in judging this debate because it was obvious pretty quickly that none of you, I don't think, felt really comfortable debating your sides. First of all, this debate, we very specifically, because when we were setting up this motion, we were thinking about different possible, for example, specific mechanisms that we could make you defend. But in the end, we decided that we want to make this debate basically a principle debate. So this is why the motion reads: this House believes that. This House believes this is not a specific policy debate. You do not have to defend any specific way of introducing refugees in a country. And what was really lacking is like clear explanations to me. What are the principles you're standing on? The only basically real attempt, just an attempt, is on the first government when you say about humanitarian reasons, that we need to help those in need. However, it sounds a bit cliche, but I needed a little bit of more tears from you. A tear-inducing story of why the fuck those people really need help. Like, why do we want them here? Why our humanitarian instincts should be so like appalled at what's happening to them that we actually need to take them in? Because like there is a legitimate argument that maybe we should take only those that are really in danger. How do we check that? Those are all like important questions. So a little bit more background. So background from oppression. This is a thing that you could make a very interesting case on because there are different forms of oppression, like, you know, different ethnicity, okay, different religion or something. Oh shit. I totally didn't expect it. Okay. Sorry. I actually do not believe like the word complete freedom needs all that much explanation. I do not feel like the specifics of this type of freedom is like super important. Interesting would be if one of opposition would ask a question to the tune of like, for example, okay, would they get more rights than, for example, the citizens of this country? Like, why would this freedom only apply only to refugees, for example? Yeah, but it would not be still amazingly strong. On the first government, we had a pretty problematic introduction because you say that okay, we have complete freedom of taking them in until we have the capabilities, which is obvious way of you trying to wiggle out of the problem. What happens when tomorrow 15 million of people want to go to fucking Slovenia, yeah? Which obviously probably don't have enough schooling or something like this. The problem is that in the spirit of the motion, this isn't really something you're allowed to do. Like, I didn't count it as a dramatic like breaking of like spirit of the game, but like complete freedom is what it is. It is a complete freedom. Like basically, when you hear politicians right now saying why they do not want refugees in country X, they always say, oh no, we cannot host them, we don't have the money. Typical excuses, like for example, fucking Slovakia said that they don't have mosques, so they're not gonna take people in. Wow. So this is pretty typical. Okay. Another thing which I actually believe you have to prove to me, and this is what you did, is that the way to help those people, because you want to help people out of your humanitarian reason, the way to help them, the best way to help them is help them actually in those places where they want to go. Why is this the case? Why we cannot help them in their countries of origin? Why we can't help them in the different country? So this is something that actually is picked up by the opposition when they say, okay, where do I have it? Their dream might basically not be true. Like, they are entering a different situation that may be equally shitty to them. Obviously, I do not believe those two are comparable, but ever since you do not provide me with anything that gives me tears in my eyes about thinking about those refugees, I kind of still can believe them when they say, oh yeah, this Syrian guy is gonna, I don't know, pick I don't know, tulips in Netherlands for 10 euro cents a month, and he's not gonna be really happy. The problem in this is that if he doesn't like it, he can go. So I don't really believe both of you. That's the problem. Okay, we let them in. There's some harms. If there are harms, hasta la vista, get out of here. You have complete freedom to go somewhere else, seek your own happiness. So I totally didn't have an idea what to believe on the first tables. First opposition. A lot of problems with your case. But the problem with the problems I'm speaking about is that I tell about them and you didn't. So in debate land, unless you say something crazily outrageous that I'll just have to rip my head off my neck, those things kind of stay in the debate. Because until you beat those vague material that they put up, I kind of have to credit them, yeah? Because this is nothing totally extraordinary. For example, people die while migrating. Why people die while migrating? Because they cannot take a fucking plane. They need to go on the stupid boat. That's the reason they die. If they had complete freedom of movement, they just take a car, take a plane, book a ticket on Ryanair, and just go safely and soundly. So, insofar as we all know it now, it's your duty to mention this, because people die while migrating. Sure, people die while in their kitchen. Okay, fine. Let's not take them in because they don't want to solve their problems. That's incredibly patronizing to them, because I actually think they would really love to solve their problems. I don't think that many people are this country sucks, I'm just gonna travel because ISIS is not that great. They usually travel from places where they actually don't have the possibility of affecting the system around them. Where you are oppressed, it's not that easy to change those oppressions. So it's very easy to say, oh no, dude, you stay there and solve your own shit. It's none of my business, yeah? So watch this, because when you're at a serious tournament, types something like this would be viewed pretty negatively, especially with some, for example, American judges. They're very keen on equity, stuff like that. Okay, another thing, they can be in danger here, sure, but as I lack the real comparison between those two threats, I kinda have to a little bit sway. I only gave to some dude. Maybe he wasn't even there. But because you don't give me any real reason to believe this particular threat is super important, this balance between those two threats to those people kind of sways it a little bit to their side, because yeah, I do believe they kind of can also be threatened here. Okay, and then we have all this discussion about economical impact. I have no idea if Kai covered this on his workshop, but for your sake of information, in 98% of the cases, the host country is actually much better economically, taking in immigrants. The country in general, it does not mean that specific groups might not be harmed, which is picked up on by Lily, I think, when you say that, for example, the wages are being inevitably pushed down, which harms actively the poorest people in the society right now, because they're at a competitive race with even more people with the same low skill set as they are. So, but that's it, and there should come something and then they're not gonna like the new people. There will be some social skills, you make the first step very rightfully so. So this is something that's pretty hard to like discuss against. Like in general, for example, because immigrants usually basically do not use a lot of social services. Like this is a stereotype that they're gonna come and they're gonna like eat our welfare or something. Yeah. Usually they don't. Usually, for example, if we look at undocumented immigrants in USA, for example, they don't get Medicaid. They don't get their like 401ks. They basically are nobody to the state. They don't even have fucking driver's license. Yeah, so they cannot even take welfare. Yeah, they have a lot of obstacles to jump through to access the welfare system. In the meantime, they work for fucking peanuts. They pay their taxes through their employer. Usually economically, it's a great thing to have a lot of immigrants. It's not great, obviously, for unskilled workers in your own country, but that's a different discussion. Okay. I'm sorry, Konstantin, sorry, I wrote your name. It looks like Kutas here. I don't know if you know what it is. Okay, sorry. Sorry. You can't stop refugees, obviously you can't. Okay, in a debate where your main duty is to defend a principle of sorts, yeah, that, okay, we're just like jolly humanitarian people who want to help everybody. And then you jump out and you say, we must uphold our values because our allies will look at us that we don't uphold them. Like, that's not the best reason to have the principle. But you say an interesting thing that basically return on like the investment you make is much bigger if you let those people work instead of like putting them like in a camp or something. Yeah, let just them work on their own stuff. Okay, and so we're getting this next part of this very consequentialist analysis by Lily. Yeah, less job places. Make wages lower. The dream may not come true, which is easy to say because you failed at drawing me the tragedy. But the biggest problem is that you are all the time like mentioning this mysterious long-term solution that we should do. Obviously, you do not have to counterprop this motion, but it's one of the motions that I probably try to counterprop. Especially, for example, I try to counterprop it by saying, no, we're not taking them. We invest a shitload of money in the countries of their origin when the problem is, or something like this. This would be probably a legit counterprop, because your long-term solution, that is your like end goal, is totally not mutually exclusive with what they're talking about. You can work at your long-term solution while taking in those immigrants and coping with some of the drawbacks and still allowing them those freedoms and still upholding your great values. Yeah. So insofar as fine, let's find a better solution in the future. It's not totally mutually exclusive. Okay, and your recent debate was much better. For 3 minutes and 30 seconds, we really get a pretty general lecture about things that are not related to the debate itself. Everybody here knows what the UN is. I just failed to see how you connected this history lesson to what we're debating about. We all love peace, except some people. We all want to live, sure. How is this all connected to this debate? Very vaguely. So then you go to say, after 3.5 minutes, that's the time you're losing. Also, again, you waste 30 seconds of your time on introducing yourself and stuff. Like, there's really no need to do it. You're like cutting your own time. We all probably know who you are. We don't need to hear what team you're from. Be more save your own time. So. Then we have this idea that European countries and others fucked up, for example in Middle East, so they now should pay up. Yeah. So they now they have a sort of a duty. Insofar as this is an argument, for example, Poland was the most willing little retarded body of USA in Afghanistan and Iraq, yeah? And now we don't want to take any immigrants at all, despite like fucking up those countries, which is very interesting and very moral. Like, this would be a nice moment, for example, to your extension, to say that it doesn't only have to work one way, like complete freedom of refugees. Insofar as we don't have a great analysis of who a refugee is, I can feel oppressed as a gay person in Russia. I can feel oppressed as an atheist in Poland. Like, there are different forms of oppression that could be touched here as an interesting extension. So you don't only have to focus on a half-dead Syrian guy with a ISIS gun to his head. There's a lot of ways you can twist this motion like to fit you, to like make it much broader in scope. Yeah, because right now we're talking basically only about war stuff related. Yeah, that's not the only way people immigrate from countries. This is why I started this discussion about saying about different types of oppression that people meet, which would very much help everybody in this debate if it was a little bit broader. And then you say pretty utilitarian stuff about cheap workforce, etc. I would stop ourselves a bit there and ask myself a question if I was second government, like, was the like principal burden of proof of like establishing the right principle in this debate, was it fulfilled by first government? And I don't think it was. And this would be the moment when I would really say why this humanitarian way of accepting reason of accepting refugees is the right way to go. Because insofar as great, yeah, we have cheap workforce for picking on our fruit, yeah, but I'm not sure that this is like the long-term solution, basically, yeah. Okay, and demographic solution, those are all very utilitarian reasons to accept those people. They're not principle-based. But obviously I have to judge the debate that happened, not one I wished there to be. Mariam, okay, we have a nice idea about like state needs to control like basically stuff around it to fulfill its basic functions. However, I kind of can imagine the states can do those things anyway. Like I can't imagine a situation where a state is a little bit overwhelmed for a while, but then returns to its normal function. And this would be the duty of the government to say, come on, like, states operate with millions of people daily, they're biggest and most qualified structures to do those things. There's really no reason to believe that additional million people, if you have 40 million people, is going to somehow sway it. Yeah, okay, there will be adjustment period, but in the meantime, we provide them as much of services as we can, and we're very happy that we can help. Yeah, so this is not something that's extremely strong. And finally, you have an idea that I think deserve being much more developed on the opposition side, which is that the societies will basically hate the idea. And we might have a right-wing feedback of like right-wing idiots. The problem is that you only mention this idea, right? Okay, society will not like them, but okay, maybe with more immigrants, people will like them more because they will accept them as a normal part of their life. But maybe it will grow, and maybe there will be some stupid resentment. I don't know. Like, I can think that one of those two things happen, but I have no idea which one. Okay, Victor, you said like refugees need assistance and very little, and I like that it's a little bit. I'm speaking a little bit too much like on your behalf, but like even if they die here, whatever, those are their choice. Yeah, nobody forced them to come. They could come, and like you kind of rightfully say we don't care about those bureaucratic process. Like we can manage this. And I must say that there was not much in your whip speech of substance. Both of your whips were not really comparable. I really like to hear what worlds are we living in on both sides of the debate in a whip speech. So you really have to improve those. So I know you're all waiting for a call, but I deliberately wanted to explain my reasoning here before I did this. It was a difficult call. In the end, I decided that insofar as the government side offered me an attempt at a principle-based debate, and then engage in a very messy, like utilitarian consequentialist and a little bit self-centered view of like, okay, we can gain from it. It wasn't enough to get you over the opposition, which, insofar as there's a lot of problems in all of your cases, that's me trying to be an educator. And you didn't totally mention those things, and their rebuttal was enough. Therefore, the first goes to OO, second goes to CO, and you get the third, and you get the fourth. Okay. Do any of you have questions?
So many.
Sure.
Like,
Shoot.
I just kind of messed up in the process of debating with everybody what was the subject of the debate.
Yeah.
So like it should have been like this house believes, so it means that it should have been on principle. But they were talking so much about the process, I couldn't just left it over. So what should have I done in order? No, well, I mean that we have already done something, but I think that because of it, the debate kind of gone wrong.
Okay, I get it. Don't be afraid, like, for example, if the debate, like this is a very normal trick to do. That's nothing you cannot do, nothing that's like forbidden in the rules or something. Very often, for example, this usually happens like between the tables. Yeah, for example, if we have a discussion about a lot of like utilitarian stuff, okay, will this be better economically? Will this be worse economically for us? It's always like refreshing the debate to like hear from the second tables. Okay, fine. Like everything that happened on the first table might happen, might not happen. It might be economically great. It might be economically shitty. But no matter the economical way it turns out, we do believe we still should do it on principle. This is why you could easily do it on first opposition. You could say, okay, we believe that this debate is not really about what type of specific freedom we're gonna give them. It's not about who gets more money out of this, but we do believe we shouldn't like take them absolutely at principle, like ever allow anybody complete freedom of movement because, like, for example, it damages like totally the ability of the state to like perform its basic functions. You're not obliged to respond to everything or to like play their game. You may do it, but the best thing probably would be to spend 3 minutes rebutting their like utilitarian claims, and then go, okay, so after I showed you that most of the like real-world benefits of following their principle will fail anyway, I'll show you why their principle that they're standing on is wrong. So I see a way of doing both. You're not obliged to run a utilitarian like consequentialist line just because they did. Yeah, obviously you should kind of rebut this, but you're not like that's not your duty.
Well, and the other question, should we have spoken about, well, the consequences in the accepting country? Because I was trying to deliver it, however, I couldn't kind of, relate it to the case that we were building, because we were basically rebutting the Mill's idea that we should help people because of its benefits for the whole society. But then how could we, should we mention, for example, that the accepting society can be damaged by the amount of refugees and religious conflicts may burst and all that? So that would be still a good...
It's just normal material, yeah, why not?
But I mean, it wasn't directly.
It was.
Alright. That's it. Thanks.
Actually, like the fact that free movement of people is such a radical idea to the world, where basically yesterday I put my bag somewhere, yeah, and I didn't have my passport, and I will be able to come back to my country of origin without it, yeah. That's like we have those restrictions everywhere. So this is such an dramatic overhaul of the entire system between countries, organizations, that absolutely there will be crazy backlash of people. Like right now, for example, look at the political discussion in the United States, where basically the discussion is, okay, what's the voltage of defense that we're gonna build? Like in the Republican Party, there's basically a duel of who's gonna make a bigger wall between USA and Mexico, yeah?
Yeah.
They don't even question the idea of the wall, yeah? So tell those people that basically when they see a Mexican they hold their wallet, yeah, because they're probably afraid he's gonna steal it. Tell those people that now, I have no idea how much people are there in Mexico, but they can all come immediately tomorrow, live next to you. Those people will be afraid, outraged, they're gonna hate this idea, they're gonna like start living in fucking enclaves, they're gonna like find ways to like separate themselves from those people. Like those people exist. This is nothing extraordinary. Yeah, like tell a Polish person that tomorrow a fucking Arab is gonna live next to him. He's gonna freak out. Like never seen one. Yeah, it's like a new species of a person. Yeah, so I can absolutely imagine horrific consequences. I can imagine stupid people going on some fucking killing sprees of immigrants. Like, those people feel like part of their identity and security is like taken away from them because your Poland is no longer your pure Poland. It's like Poland for everybody. So there's a lot of people who are gonna be pretty pissed.
I didn't mention it. I wanted it so bad. I'm so sorry.
Next time. Other questions? Okay. Go.